Today's lesson is going to be working with nth roots, which means that the index will no longer be a 2 or square root. It will be possibly cube root, so an index of 3, fourth root, an index of 4, fifth root, so on. So let's review cube roots. And we know that with cube roots, we need 3 of the same for one to come out, or we're looking for that integer that when we multiply it by itself 3 times, we get the radicand. So the cube root of 8 is 2 because we know 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. The cube root of 54, well, 54 isn't a perfect cube. And so what we would do is we would break it down into the cube root of a perfect cubed times the cube root of the remaining factor. And so we talked about listing the perfect cubes. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And you list them until you obtain a factor that divides into the original radicand. So what divides into 54? 27. And so that's going to give me 3 with the cube root of 2. What do we do if we have variables on the inside? Well, when we had variables on the inside and it was square rooting, we knew that every 2 variables, 1 came out. In this case, every 3 variables, 1 is going to come out. So again, you can expand it. So you could rewrite this as the cube root of 64 times, and then write down 6y's. Every 3, 1 comes out. Every 3, 1 comes out. The cube root of 64 is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Y squared. Another way that you could do it is you could rewrite the variable to a fraction exponent. So that would be y to the 6, that's your power, over the index, which is 3, and that's where we get our y squared. What do we do when there's negatives inside? Well, when it's a square root, we know that the negative causes the answer to be an imaginary number. So remember that the square root of negative 25 is 5i. Okay, we do not take the square root of a negative number and still have a real number. Cube roots are different because if you multiply a number times itself 3 times and that number is negative, the result will be negative. And so we can take the cube root of a negative number and still have it be a real number. So the cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. Think about it. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Multiplied by a negative 3 is a negative 27. So you can take the cube root of a negative number. The cube root of a negative number equals a negative number. So cube root of negative 27, negative 3. Cube root of a to the 6 is going to be a squared, just like we had over here with y to the 6. Cube root of b to the 12th. So if you were to expand, you would have 12 b's. Every 3, 1 comes out. That means 4 are going to come out. You can also think of it as b to the 12 over 3, which is 4.